So hey everyone, I'm Rodney.
I'm Cecilia.
And we are staying at Don Carter State Park in Georgia.
Gainesville, Georgia.
It's about 25 miles or so outside of Helen, Georgia. We are coming up to the entrance to the state park up here. One thing you'll find when you come here is after 10 o'clock, this front gate will lock and you'll have to have a code to get in.
Very nice, secure.
Which is nice. The campground itself, you'll see in a minute, has another gate that's always shut, but you'll have to have the code to get in.
And your first impressions when you pull through the gate is like, wow, this place is amazing. You're nestled in here amongst all these trees. It looks pretty spacious.
And we'll pull across while we're coming in just to show you where the visitor center and the check-in is for the campground.
They have a gift shop in there with lots of different trinkets, restrooms, I think an ice cream place too.
There's a trailhead right here, Overlook Trail, at the visitor center.
They actually have a lot of trails.
They do have a lot of trails here. There is the visitor center there and the check-in spot.
In fact, they have around 15 miles of trails just inside of the state park.
And we have hiked a pretty good bit of that.
We have.
While we've been here. As we pull back out to the front gate, to the right is the day use area. It's also the primitive campground over there. We hiked around the primitive campground the other day. And if you want to stay there, you do have to walk your stuff into your campsite. So it's a little bit of a hike.
They have 44 RV sites and I think 14 primitive sites. Double security for the campers.
Almost every time we pull through this campground, there's been deer all over the place. I mean, sometimes you'll see 10 or 12 deer just huddled together. They'll stand there for a little bit while you're driving by, but they may eventually run off, or they may stand there. I don't know if we'll see any as we pull through here.
We got really close to a lot of them.
As you see coming up, we would turn left to go into the campground here or go straight. They do have cottages down here and a boat ramp on the campground side.
They actually have a couple boat ramps.
They do have a couple of boat ramps. One's on the campground side and one is on the day use side. Here is the playground for the kids. We haven't actually been up here. And the outdoor workout center. We were just talking about that a little while ago, a little fitness zone. So they do have some workout equipment here. And the playground. This is walkable from the RV campground.
It should be walkable from the cottages too.
It should be. We'll ride that way and see.
Oh my goodness, there's a lot of deer.
Yeah, as we ride through here, you should be able to see some of the deer on the side of the road here.
Oh, there's 7.
A few little bucks that are still in velvet here. There's a little spotted fawn out there too.
Oh, he's be careful. Oh my goodness, look at all the deer.
You can hear Gibbs in the background going crazy because he is seeing all these deer.
Look at that baby. Look at those 2 babies. I gotta get a picture.
They're running
off.
Gibbs is going crazy. Gibbs does not like that he can't get out and go chase deer.
One of the nice things about this campground is that it's located on Lake Lanier. It's a rather large lake.
Yeah, so that does give you a lot of water sport options. You have a boat, or we went kayaking on the lake the other day.
They also have kayak rentals, paddleboard rentals, and the bicycle pedaling. I'm not sure what that's called. The bicycle pedaling
boats, the pedal boats, paddle boats, pedal boats
for rent down at the public beach area. I mean, they also have the pedal boats for rent down at the beach area.
We'll ride through and give you a little overview of the cottages here.
They have 8 cottages, and they have their own playground up there. They have 4 picnic pavilions that you have to reserve through the gift shop. I'm not sure where they're all located, but one is here, and I guess the other ones are. There is one over in the day use.
There's at least one in the day use here, if not 2 or 3. And if you want to guarantee you get to use it, you would want to reserve it. I think if they're not reserved, I think they put a tag out if they're reserved. So if they're not reserved, I would assume you could use it. But if somebody who has reserved it shows up, I guess you'd have to leave. The boat ramp is down here to the right. You may have seen it when we drove by it a while ago. I'm not going to pull down in there, but that's where we put our kayaks in the other day. So we're about to turn up into the RV campground.
There are 44 sites here. Actually, the sign says 46. But
I think 2 of those sites are reserved for the hosts.
All the sites are water and electricity and partial sewage.
And by what Cecilia means by partial sewage is they allow you to hook up and do your gray water at a slow release, meaning what I take for that is you can't store it up in your gray tanks and then release it all at once. That it's more for you to leave your gray tanks open and let it drain as you use the water. At least that's my interpretation of it. I don't know if that's true or not.
They do not have Wi-Fi, and in fact, the cell service here is not good.
Yeah, there's something funny about the cell service. We've got T-Mobile, and sometimes it comes in pretty good, and sometimes you don't have any at all. So I don't know what the difference is, but we've been very iffy on cell service. All these sites are paved.
And all the sites are unlevel.
I don't know if I'd say all the sites are unlevel.
We saw one that was level, like that one right there.
They're a little misleading because, you know, you see all these nice back in and pull through lots that are all paved, and you would start thinking they are level until you actually start trying to set up.
And speaking of setting up, notice that all the power boxes and hookups are on the end of each site and not in the middle, which is what we're accustomed to.
Yeah, they're at the very back of the site, which on the shorter sites may not be a problem. So when we got here the other day, we are on site number 15, which you'll see in a moment. That site is a very, very long site, but it is, from first appearances, it would be fairly level. But for us to get on the most level spot on that site, we would probably need 100 foot of hose and 100 foot of electrical cable, because again, all the connections are at the back of the site and it's just all uphill. So
here we are.
It was very difficult for me to get level. You can see the back of ours there. It was not level side to side, and it was not level front to back. So it took me probably an hour. And I guess I'm spoiled because I'm so used to our automatic leveling system. But with that system, if that site is not fairly level, it does not want to level. So I wound up having to put leveling blocks under my tires and do some work with my leveling jacks to get it level. We actually watched one of our neighbors, who wound up not being our neighbor, try to set up the other day, who got very frustrated on his site and wound up leaving because he couldn't get level. So that was part of the campground there. We'll ride through the other part to give you an idea of what the other section looks like. They do have dumps, and when they do have trash up here by the restroom. That's one thing I guess I should say, is the facilities are very clean, well maintained. So as we pull through the other part of the campground, you can continue to see that the sites are paved, some are back in, some are pulled through.
They also have laundry rooms in the bathhouse.
So overall, what's your thoughts on the campground? What do you like most about the campground?
My favorite part about this campground is the location. It's located on the lake, so we have a lot of water activities we can do, and there's a lot of hiking nearby, so you've got all that. And then within a 30-minute drive, actually probably more like a 45-minute drive, you've got Helen, Georgia, which of course, you know, that's good for restaurants and shopping, and of course the famous tubing that you have to do when you're in Helen, Georgia. That's mine.
There's a lot of wildlife here. We see deer almost every day. There is a good bit of hiking to be done here. The hiking is not anything spectacular here in the park.
But if you go closer to Helen, Georgia, you've got the famous Anna Ruby Falls, and then the other one,
Raven Cliff
Falls. There's some others that we didn't do that maybe we'll get a chance to do before we leave, but they're spaced out like over in Unicoi State Park, and there's another state park I can't remember that we went to, but that's lots of hiking.
And what are your dislikes about the park?
I just like the fact that you got so upset trying to set up.
Yes, we did not record me setting up, which would probably been a good video, because I was not a happy camper at the time.
But I guess that would be a dislike with you and not the park. So my thing that I dislike about the park is that it doesn't have full sewage, so you're gonna have to dump when you leave. And we're only here for 7 days, so that doesn't present a big problem. We did not bring our honey wagon with us, so if we were here for longer than 7 days, I'm really not sure what we would do.
Right, I did not bring the honey wagon because I thought we had full hookups here, which
we ended up not having full hookups, and he got mad when we got here because they thought we had full sewage, and come to find out, he looked it up and he had misread it. So.
Yeah, so that was my bad.
Thanks for hanging with the Harrises.